Hi, welcome to Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the first 4 episodes of Yamada-kun and the 7 Witches, a show where a high school delinquent finds he has the powers to switch bodies with people by kissing them. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to make sure you don't miss the next episodes. We open with Yamada being berated by his teacher for being a delinquent and remarks that he should be more like model student Shiraishi Urara. Yamada storms up the stairs past Urara. He slips, and the two of them seem to be about to fall down the stairs. He awakens in a hospital bed, but something doesn't seem right. To his horror, he has awoken in the body of Urara. He barges into the classroom to find his own body, controlled by Urara, diligently acting as the ideal student. Yamada drags his body out of class, and Urara informs him that while she has no idea why they switched, all they have to do is presumably fall down the stairs again to switch back. Urara refuses to do it, however, as she does not want to miss any more class from fainting again, so Yamada will just have to wait until after class. Initially annoyed, Yamada realizes that he is, in fact, in the body of an attractive girl and rushes to the bathroom. He checks himself out and is overwhelmed with lust at his new body. He then encounters a group of unattractive men who begin to flirt with him, and he has to flee. While hiding out, he encounters Urara's friends, who inform him that they packed a lunch for Urara, and so they eat together. But the girls begin to giggle, and as he opens Urara's notebook, he finds mean words written in it. He understands, as he opens her locker and a pile of garbage falls out, that the girls are in fact not Urara's friends. He then meets up with Urara and explains what happened. Urara apologizes for him having to go through that, and he realizes that this is what she goes through every day, and remembers all of the times he's seen her alone. He changes his mind about switching back before school is over, and says he'll deal with the girls. But Urara gets angry and tells him to stay out of it. Rin spots them on the roof and begins to hassle Yamada about it. At first, Yamada attempts to walk away, but Rin throws a bag at him. He decides to scare her by throwing a punch and stopping just short, but Urara throws his body between them, catching the full force of the punch and getting knocked off her feet. As he yells at her, Rin is terrified by the new fire burning within, who she believes to be Urara, and runs away screaming. Urara thanks him before they throw themselves down the stairs, only to realize that they have not changed back. After several tries, Urara points out that when they fell the first time, they accidentally kissed. This successfully switches them back. A white-haired boy appears at the top of the stairs, as Urara leaves and remarks that it's intriguing. The next day, they decide to test it, and do indeed switch bodies back again when they kiss. Yamada wonders if Urara is secretly in love with him, as she can kiss him without batting an eye, while he gets flustered every time. They decide to switch back after school again, and as Yamada is eating with Urara's body, the white-haired boy, who turns out to be a student council member named Miyamura, he asks if she remembers agreeing to a date. Yamada lies, saying yes, he remembers. Miyamura goes on to ask if she was close with Yamada. As they talk, the 3 ugly men from earlier appear and once again fawn all over Yamada. Miyamura attempts to fight them and is easily beaten up, but as they continue to encroach on Yamada's personal space, he roundhouse kicks them and they run off, saying they were never doing favors for people again. Miyamura then stands up and explains that it was all an act and that Urara never agreed to a date and that he recognizes the roundhouse kick. Urara appears as well, having been called there by Miyamura, who asks them both to follow him. He makes them a deal. They join his club, which needs more members, and they can use the room to switch bodies as they need privacy to kiss. They swap back, and then he asks them if they have kissed anyone else. They both say they haven't. Miyamura wants to test it, and Urara refuses to kiss him, so he says he will settle for Yamada. Urara holds Yamada while Miyamura kisses him, and they do in fact end up switched. They switch back, and Miyamura says he needs to find a woman who will kiss Yamada to see if it truly is anyone he kisses that he switches with. Urara objects to this, and Yamada once again wonders if she is in love with him. She explains that if more people find out about the body switching, it could be trouble. Just as they all agree to restart the Supernatural Activities Club, a pretty girl walks in and asks to join too. The girl, Miyabi, displays a passion for supernatural things and showcases a bunch of fake supernatural things to them before leaving them all baffled. She begins to clean the club room and makes Yamada take out the trash. As he walks back from the dumpster, he sees a sign with a list of students who scored low on their exams and have to take a makeup exam. He rushes back to the club room to ask Urara to switch bodies and take the exam for him. She agrees, but just before they can switch, Miyabi enters the room. After a montage of interruptions, Miyamura finally sends her to the student council room, and Yamada kisses Urara, but Miyabi barges in again, saying the student council room was locked. She bursts into tears, saying she will make them pay because she feels lied to. The next day, Yamada finds out that Miyabi has plastered the school with signs saying Yamada and Urara kissed. Yamada calls her to the Supernatural Studies club room and asks her to take back the rumors, but she tells him no, and he demands she kiss him if she wants to leave. Once they kiss and switch bodies, he uses her body to punch his own body. After checking out his new body, he rushes around the school to take back the rumors. But to his surprise, everyone already knew they were lies because Miyabi is constantly spreading false information, partially due to her obsession with the supernatural. He finds that Miyabi has left the club room with his body, and he cannot switch back. As he searches for his body, he keeps finding out about all of the embarrassing things Miyabi has been doing in his body. After searching her body, they find a cell phone with texts of someone demanding money for the fake supernatural items. They reason that she likely went there to use Yamada's body to fight. After finding his body unconscious and realizing that Miyabi bought the items to make people like her, because they all think she's a liar, Yamada easily beats up the men using Miyabi's body. Once they switch back, Miyabi apologizes and tries to leave, but Yamada tells her that now that she knows the secret, she can't go. She cries tears of gratitude and joins, then asks if Yamada can switch bodies while outside of his own body. They test it, and all end up switching with one another before they finally switch back. We then cut to the student council discussing the upcoming election and Supernatural Studies Club before the president finally wonders aloud how they will deal with the next problem student coming to their school. We see a blonde boy with no umbrella waiting in a doorway as chatting students walk by with umbrellas. He seems surprised to see Urara walking quietly with her own umbrella. We then see the Supernatural Studies Club arguing because they have no funding. Miyabi wants to make the club room look more like a club room, but the boys have no interest in that, until Yamada decides a microwave would be good because he would not have to eat cold lunches anymore. He drags Miyamura off to the student council president's office to get funding for a microwave. The president completely ignores Yamada, and Miyamura explains that the president completely ignores men and only listens to women. They go back and switch bodies, so that Yamada is Urara and Miyamura is Miyabi. They attempt to flirt with him, but he knows that they're in swapped bodies. He explains that he had a theory they could do it, but that he could smell that they were not women. He agrees to give them the budget they want if they can help him convince Urara to go to college, because it's a bad mark for the school's reputation if their top student doesn't go to college. As the president says this, Miyamura looks troubled. Back in their own bodies, Urara calmly refuses to go to college. As they press her for more, she quickly leaves without looking back at them. Ushio and Nene come and insult them, saying that Nene is going to be the next president, not Miyamura. After they leave, Miyamura explains that if he can get Urara to go to college, he will become president next term, but if he doesn't, Nene will. He goes on to say that if the president does not get what he wants, he could abolish their club. As Yamada ponders what to do later that day, Urara asks to speak with him. She asks him to switch bodies, and he thinks she's blushing because she's attracted to him, but it turns out she has a cold. They debate why she would even come to school as sick as she is, and they figure it's because she wants to study. Miyamura suggests that Yamada go get some rest at Urara's house. The three of them go there to take the opportunity to learn more about Urara. As Miyabi and Miyamura begin to violate Urara's privacy, Yamada kicks them out, saying he'll do it himself. His fever spikes, and he lays down in her bed. Urara storms in, wearing his body, and yells at him. They switch back, and she says that it's not that she wants to study all the time, it's that she has nothing else to do but study, because both at home and at school, she's all alone. He apologizes for leaving school without permission and leaves her room. She begins to cough, feeling lonely, but he surprises her by coming back and putting a cold compress on her forehead. He says that he will try to get into college, and that she should go with him. She smiles and agrees. The next day, Miyamura shocks the student council by informing them Urara agreed to go to college and secures their funding. We see Yamada exasperated as he has to go on the class camping trip. Urara asks to switch bodies with him, and they are both happy as Urara is offered tons of snacks from the other girls, while she gets to quietly study in the back, and he finds out that she insisted they be in the same group. As he smiles at her, she throws up due to motion sickness. Urara decides to rest in Yamada's room, while Yamada, still in her body, goes on a series of tiring adventures with their group. He attempts to switch back, but she requests to stay in his body a little longer to study. He goes to dinner, and then Urara's friends invite him to take a bath with them. Unable to switch back, he ends up getting felt up by the other girls in Urara's body. Urara's friends ask him why she decided to come to the events this time when usually she skips all of them, and he leaves, determined to speak to her. She admits that she had always wanted to join in but never knew how, so she left it to him. He insists she go be social herself and switches back with her. Urara had not fed his body all day, so he hungrily decides to go to the cafeteria, but Nene finds him along the way. It turns out that she has pictures of him rifling through Urara's stuff, even though it was actually Urara herself using his body, and threatens to show the whole school, unless he prevents Urara from taking the national mock exam. We then cut to Miyabi and Miyamura playing cards, while Miyamura explains that if Urara doesn't take the exam, their school's worth will drop, and that his chances of being president are now directly tied to Urara's academic success. He also explains that if Yamada gives in, he will be extorted by Nene forever, since she will never delete the photos. He decides to switch bodies with Nene and delete the photos himself. He asks her to kiss him, but she says that she isn't to blame for whatever happens afterwards. He's shocked to find himself still in his own body as she leaves. Miyamura and Miyabi both kiss him and confirm he's lost his body switching abilities. The next day, Urara agrees to not take the test and tells him how much fun she had on the trip thanks to him. She asks if the Supernatural Studies Club can go on a trip over summer break. The day of the test, he finds that Miyamura and Miyabi both made him romantic lunches. They explain that the night they kissed him after he lost his powers, they fell for him, and that he seems to now have the ability to charm people by kissing them. Annoyed by them fawning over him, he kisses them again, and the charm wears off. They wonder what would happen if he kissed Urara. He refuses, and they decide not to tell her that he lost his body-switching powers for fear that she will stop coming to the club if she can't switch with him anymore. He decides that he has to kiss Nene again to switch his powers back.